So if I were to ask you, is this the right time to plan your homeschool year? What is your answer? Can I make a case for yes, it's right now? If you were to do the whole throughout the year homeschooling thing for your indefinite period of homeschool journey, in my experience, you get burned out. I suppose it depends on how you do, but I knew for sure that by the third or fourth year, I couldn't do the full summer homeschooling thing without feeling burned out. So I put it away. But that meant I had to come back and plan it at some point. And you know what? There is not an ideal time to plan it because I want to actually be in the moment in summer, enjoying my giant stack of summer reads and just enjoying my time. And at least in my third or fourth year, I wanted to do that and just let kids naturally learn because they keep learning. And I figured that out by the third or fourth year. So they didn't need my intervention during the summer. So I didn't want to come back to planning it. So I found that the best time to plan it was actually at the end of the year. While you're putting all the stuff away, if you're putting away books, if you're writing down all the things that you've been doing for the year, or you want to create your own portfolios for what you've been doing throughout the last year, that's the time to start planning your next homeschool year. And by the way, I'm going to do a homeschool year-end review where I'm going to show you how to do that planning and how to also put together a portfolio. Okay, so you know what? On my podcast episode today, I released season 6? Episode 1 is titled something like 9 Simple Steps to Planning Your Homeschool. And one of the steps I'm going to share with you today, and it's become a super important step in really everything that I've been doing, whether it's homeschooling or life coaching. But I want to introduce myself. If you don't already know me, I'm Teresa. I am the life coach for homeschool moms, and you can find me on Homeschool Mama Self-Care on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and also you can find me on Capturing the Charmed Life. That is my website that I've been writing on for a couple decades. But the favorite place that you can find me is in my study. It's behind the fireplace. I love being there with you on Zoom and chatting about the things that matter to you in your homeschool life. My very favorite space to be. I help homeschool moms, really it doesn't have to be homeschool moms, but it's a space that I'm very familiar with, to explore their growth goals, to connect with them so that they have someone to really hear them and reflect back the things that are going on in here so they can get clarity up here and plan for out here. And it is one of the most meaningful things that I've done in my life. Homeschooling too, of course. So I explore growth goals. I come alongside homeschool moms to help address their boundary challenges, whether that's in their relationships with their partners, their parents, their kids, and themselves, the most important relationship. I help to build boundaries for them and help to create general accountability goals towards building those boundaries, but I also help them develop a plan to deal with their big emotions. Very popular to talk about emotional dysregulation right now and helping our kids deal with that, but I know I'm not the only one that hasn't been taught emotional regulation when I was a kid, and I was a full-grown parenting adult before the word even came into my awareness. And I have learned that that is the common case with other homeschool moms too. And so I walk alongside homeschool moms to do that, to create a plan to address their big emotions. And I delight in helping women clarify their stories, their reasons for being here. Got to do that today with another mom, and it is absolute joy to my soul to help women come out of their caged the bird caged experience that they've had throughout their lifetime so that they can sing. I delight in doing that, and also in helping women to reconnect with themselves and why they're here. But I couldn't really have clarity on how to approach that or to engage that entire discussion of who they are and what they're about and what they're here for if I didn't also have a conversation with them about core values, their core values, and creating value statements so that they can work from those core values in all the relationships that they have and also all the activities that they have. And I couldn't do that myself with you if I also didn't have that clarity. So I'm going to share with you my core values and also the value statements that I've created, which I have now shared on Instagram, Facebook. I must say, I much prefer the filters over here. And can you give me grace for putting on a filter? You can check me out over on Facebook without the filter. I'm almost 50, and this is an adjustment and growing thing for me to see myself without a filter. Okay, so core values, value statements, super important. But I remember being told a long time ago in a homeschool conference, way back in my early homeschool days, that you should create a vision for your family. And I remember thinking, well, I won't say the words that I'm really thinking right now, but there ain't no time for that. I have stuff to do. I'm not creating a value statement or a vision statement, or as they say now, know your why. I don't have time for that. And it's true, you don't. Also, what I've learned is that when you do create time for that and you clarify what your values are, they might change, but what they are right now, and clarify what your value statements are, your intentions around all the different elements of your life, you get a whole lot clearer on what you're not, what you don't have time for, and really just pulling back the layers of things that don't have value in your life. Simplifying, right? Simplifying your life. So I think it's useful to create values around the values that you have around your family and also your personal values. So I do share, no surprise here, I do share a discussion as one of the simple steps in the podcast episode released today about knowing your why. Simon Sinek, I think he's the original author of, is it Know Your Why or something like that? He speaks to that concept, and I think it's crazy valuable for us to be really clear on why we're doing what we're doing. At the very least, it helps to clarify, and it really does delete stuff, because if you know this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, then you won't feel so compelled to do all the other things. Can I hear an amen? Try it. It works. It will definitely simplify things for you. So in season 6, I'm going to be talking about reimagining our homeschool lives, and that goes perfectly aligned with the recently released homeschool mini course that I've offered. And if you've ever tried my homeschool mini course, which I previously called Capturing the Charmed Life, because that just made a lot of sense to me since that was my website, turning your charms or your challenges to charms, you've heard me say that. I've now recreated it as reimagining your homeschool life, because you might not be going for the charmed life, but at the end of our homeschool years, that is definitely the time where we're thinking about, okay, what do we not want to do? What do we actually want to do next year? What have I learned about my kids? What have I learned about myself? What have I learned about learning? And all the things. We want to clarify that and reimagine, repackage, get another idea how we're going to do this next year, if we're going to do this next year. So consider, what are your core values? What would you say your core values are? Say, choose 2 to 4. I'll give you mine at present. But before I do that, you could pause, grab your journal, or consider, what are your core values? I'd love to hear if you throw it in the comment section. I've learned that we all have different values for different reasons, and different values at different times of different seasons. So I know you will not be surprised when you hear me say what my core values are, because you've heard me use them in these spaces many, many, many times. Authenticity. That's one of my biggest ones. And partly the reason is because it was the hardest one for me to come here or to go anywhere and show up authentically. Because that means you need to know you, and I didn't. And I also need to say, this is who I am, and other things are not me. And that can be tricky. Thank you, Jen. I value connection, flow. I love that word. I've been learning a lot more about the backstory to that word in the literary world. Love and joy, authenticity and realness. You sound like my girl. Clearly, we're similar. Thank you for sharing that. So when I look at values for me, authenticity, confidence, which is really an extension of that authenticity. Confidence is like also choosing courage, like courage to do things like these kinds of things, which if you think, I would never go on the other end of a live stream anything, yeah, girl, I feel ya, because that is me. I mean, I had legit social anxiety in my late teens, and now I'm like, whatever, a few hundred people here, a few thousand people there, whatever. Okay, now take me into a live scenario, and that might be a little bit different at times, but actually I've done that too. So authenticity, confidence, which also means courage, visionary, so actually creating a vision, hoping to help clarify my kids' visions and even my husband's vision. Someday I'll share with you about his giant, courageous step into a whole different world for him right now. And so confidence, authenticity, vision, and purpose. Hey, Holly. And purpose and intention. And those are the core values that I would share with you. Those are the ones that come from here for me at this stage of my life. And so out of those core values comes my daily activities. So are my daily activities aligning with my values? And that's one of the most useful things I wish someone had said to me way back when I was homeschool planning, because my values are like the checks and balances to what I'm doing. I had this idea, this core value of freedom in homeschooling. That was my big intention, was freedom. And freedom so that it would allow for so much space and individualization in my kids' homeschool. And then I brought stuff home to do, and checklists and activities, and so much that it was overwhelming. And girl, it was not freedom. That was not freedom. I wish someone had said to me, hey, so does this align with freedom for you? And accurately, hell no, that was not freedom. That was some form of personal torture. Pardon my French, I'm Canadian. And yeah, that wasn't freedom. So if someone had said to me, hey, is your value aligning with your daily activities? I could not have said yes. So that's why we want to clarify what's our value and does it align with what we're actually doing? And sometimes we need to practice those values because they are not coming intuitively to us. We are afraid to be authentic, to show up live on Instagram and YouTube and all sorts of different things. Or you're afraid to show up in the homeschool co-op saying what you really understand about human behavior or what you really believe about a child's learning potential or whatever your scenario. Owning it, being genuine, being authentic. So here are my value statements about how I'm showing up in this space, what I believe in my experience. And now I could wax and wane indefinitely when I speak about value statements, but off the top of my head in the last couple of days, I've written a few value statements based on my values, and it is about how I'm engaging you. I believe every homeschool mom wants the very best for their kids. Every mom. I believe our intentions are good, but our follow-through, not always so much. I believe our intentions are good, but our follow-through doesn't always serve the kiddo in front of us. Sometimes our intentions are really to serve what we might have needed back then. I believe the way we homeschool doesn't always serve our souls. That would be why I wrote my book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care. It doesn't always serve our needs or serve our growth trajectory or the reason that we're here. I believe we're raising up unique individuals, so unique that they're 1 in 7 billion, and we have the opportunity to really enable them to become who they really are meant to be here. We give them a really unique scenario at home, tons of solitude, opportunity to be bored so they can build on their creativity, and we're always individualizing and always asking, is this the best thing for our kids? We're intimately connected with that. I believe we enter the homeschool journey with the best of intentions, with all our heart. We would each love to be given a playbook or a parenting book for our specific child to serve our child's soul. Because if we were given it, we would surely work to accomplish it. I believe our own upbringing, our own past educational experiences, and the challenges that we need to overcome in our life need to be explored deeply. So we can serve our kids freely, clearly, or at least more clearly. So we can offer our kids educational experiences and a growth plan to address whatever challenges they're going to have in their lives, because they are, and we are. No one gets out of this life without a challenge or many. And so at least to equip them to be able to do it, to help them along their growth journey. And I believe when we do this, our journeys will become more aligned, they'll become more authentic, so we can live out our lives with greater intention and purpose and do it with increasing confidence and vision. And that's why I'm here, is to walk alongside you if that's your intention, is to continue to grow in growth goals, I call it, goals that you have for growth, whether that's learning how to build boundaries with certain people or develop who you are and what you're meant to be here, and also your emotional challenges, to actually come up with a plan for those things. And as I said, one of the most exciting things is really helping women to clarify who they are, why they're here, and to continue to walk in the journey that they were given. So thanks for spending time having tea, which I have not had. It is a delight to share this space with you. I would love to hear more about your core values and how they're infusing your actual world or the things that you're actually trying to create in your homes based on those values. You're always welcome to connect with me. You can find me at the booking link on my website page. It's www.capturingthecharmedlife.com. And if we haven't met, I'm Teresa, and it's a delight to connect with you. I hope you have a really good week.